Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Welcome back to the Misunderstood Show. We had kind of a long break. We had holidays and tragedies and snowstorms and the events in New Orleans, which affected my guest that was going to come on that day. I've had kids with injuries. It's been a fun time. So I'm so glad to be back in the studio and, getting good news out and misunderstandings, getting those corrected. But yeah, today we have a good friend of mine, Micah Teeter. He's Fit Move Go. Yep. He's but he does so much more than that. So you're like a personal trainer. You help people with breathing. You help people with diet. You help people with mental strength and getting them kind of back on track. And we were just talking about resetting your brain and all that kind of stuff. From trauma, body trauma, mental trauma, all the stuff from head to toe, inside and out. Yeah, it's all. It all connects, right? It's all. Your health is eat, diet, exercise, grounding, sunlight, all the things, frequency, the clothing you wear, to the people you hang out with, all the things, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it shows up like literally. We're just maps. Like literally, our nervous system, endocrine system, all systems work together. And the stress is stored. Like it could be in the womb. If the mother's really stressed out and have all these problems, we might be carrying that stuff on for the rest of our lives unless we know how to address it.
So I can blame my mom.
You could. Yeah.
That's kind of a scapegoat, but yeah.
It depends on the situation. If you're born prematurely, that's going to cause issues
trauma,
with even breathing.
Or being like in an incubator the first several months of your life.
Some of the worst trauma that like lasts forever.
Because you don't have any bonding with your mother.
Yeah. I mean, that's very, 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 like you're in this warm, cozy place. You're hopefully being loved on. Hopefully she's in a good state. And all of a sudden you're taken away and that's completely cold. I mean, like we're designed to actually have that frequency, that warmth, all those things connecting dots.
Right.
Right out of the womb. The mother holds you to all the things. And that is a big break in the chain.
Yeah.
Massive.
I feel so bad for all those people. I had a bad trauma when my son was born. I had him like 15 miles from the border. We were down there for, his dad had a job down there. And so I had him in Edinburgh, which is just outside of McAllen. We lived in McAllen. And the hospital was like overwhelmed with babies. All these people from Mexico were coming over and having babies. And there was 36 babies born the night my son was born.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of babies in one hospital in one night. I mean, they were getting people in and out 24 hours. I mean, the 24 hours, I guess, is like the minimum. They were shoveling us out the door, but I had to have him in a recovery room because they didn't have any rooms available. And then shift change happened, and they were just overwhelmed. And they took him to go do like vitals and all the things that they do, and they didn't bring him back for 7 hours. And I was flipping out. I mean, I was flipping my lid. I was flipping out because I wanted to have him and breastfeed him immediately and do all the things that, kind of the crunchy moms do. It was my first child, and they took him, and I didn't know where he was, and they wouldn't bring him to me, and they sent this nun in. I was like, get her out of here. I do not want to go to hell for cussing her out. But
so, and you have another kid,
yeah.
Right? So like,
my second child, it went great. My first child, though, it was traumatic, and then they gave him formula. Was the first thing they gave him instead of breast milk. And now he has all these digestive issues, as you're aware of. We've talked about all of this. Yeah. And he's had digestive issues since then. And I blame it on them they gave him soy milk in the hospital instead of bringing him to me and letting me nurse.
I mean, your frequencies of your body, he's already been nutrients-wise.
And I feel like he probably bonded with that nurse or whatever right out of the wound,
Yeah, or it was just a cold environment, one of the two, yeah.
Either way. If I knew then what I know now, I would have sued the hospital for sure.
I was going to ask you, what would you do differently?
I would sue the hospital. Actually, I probably
Well,
would.
even going into it, like how would you manage it differently?
I would have got out of my bed and went looking for him. I would have raised hell. But I was young. I was in my 20s. I was, I say young. I was 28, but you're still like your first mom. You're still in your 20s. I'm not 40. Now I'm 40. I'm not going to say how old I am, but, I'm older. And so, I'm a stronger, I understand laws. I understand, and plus a lot of stuff has come to light with the way the medical system is with the internet and social media. Now we're educated on what's actually going on and that it's wrong and it's not okay and we can't trust everybody there. And I'm not saying that people that work in the hospital are not good people. I have friends who work in hospitals and they're amazing people and they do want to help people. But I think that there's a lot of issues with the politics and, it trickles down. And same thing with schools and everything else, the government. There's a lot of good people working for the government. There's a lot of good people working in schools. But there's a lot of problems with power and money. And it's everywhere.
You don't know, right? Even
right.
Your mom in those situations, right?
Yeah. And so the way I met you is I was at a networking event, and my son had just had a major head trauma in August. And literally that week he had the head trauma, and you were like, I'll come to your house right now and do a scan on him. And I was like, oh my gosh, please. And you came over that day.
Cool. It was really cool.
Actually, literally we left the networking meeting. You came to my house and my husband's like, okay. And you scanned him, and it was crazy because I'll be honest with you. I didn't know you when I met you. So I was like, oh yeah, this guy we'll see. But I was so desperate for any kind of answer. And, the hospital and the neurologist and all these people, they don't really give you answers. They don't know that much about the brain. They did a CT scan and an X-ray and all this stuff, and an MRI, but, they can only see so much. And the brain is such a mysterious thing that they just really couldn't pinpoint. And he had all these other injuries, and, he had organ damage and bruises everywhere and all kinds of his elbows were all messed up from falling on his elbows. And anyway, we did that scan, and it was it blew me away because every injury he told us about were on that scan. To his elbows, to his nose, to everything, hit the back of his brain, and it was all on the scan. And plus his allergies were on there that we already knew about, plus some others. And I don't know if you saw, he had anaphylactic shock. We were in the hospital a couple weeks ago, and we don't know what for.
Oh, wow.
It was like 6 a.m. He hadn't eaten anything. So I'm just like, maybe he was bit by a bug, but there's no bug bites on him. So I don't know. So strange. Or maybe he was exposed to some mold or something in the house, suddenly got a whiff of it.
It could be a number of things. Typically, you see that stuff with bees or.
But he wasn't stung by anything. He woke up in the morning, his tongue started swelling up really big when he was getting ready for school, and he couldn't breathe. Are you
using different colognes or anything like that? Soaps?
He did get some new cologne for Christmas, but he's been using it, so.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been new.
No.
Yeah, the AO scan's cool.
I don't like cologne. I don't do cologne, so.
Yeah. Smart.
It's always bothered me anyway. I get rashes and headaches, but obviously it's toxic. And so it's funny, when my kids were younger, I remember being in the mall one time, and my old, Jaron, he doesn't care as much about his health as being cool and smelling good and being and getting the ladies. But my younger one, he would be like, don't, because he was spraying some cologne in the mall, and he was like, don't spray me with that cancer spray, super loud in the mall. It was hilarious.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
He was 6.
That is so awesome. It's
yeah.
So on point. We really start looking at the frequencies. That's what that AO scan's using, is the frequencies for every single place. It's literally an educational software that sends out a frequency to a target, just like geology work. It's sitting out something to hit something in like you would in the dirt. It's like, oh, a rock. Oh, it's a granite rock, and it's this type of rock, and it's this side. They can get so much information on how that frequency comes back.
Right. Which is funny because you did that scan, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I knew immediately that it was, this is real, because it pinpointed all these things that we already knew about, plus others. And we took it into the doctor's office, and she was like, what is this? Where did you get this? They didn't even know what to do with it. They didn't even know what it was. And it's kind of sad that our medical system is so far behind the knowledge that, you know, the world has to offer.
I mean, that stuff's actually been around for a long, long time.
Well, that's what I was about to say. There's so much medicine that's been around for thousands of years. I mean, that's like a Tesla. That dates back to like Tesla days, right?
Yeah, well, even with him, like people had that stuff before them. They're just ones that were popular, is my understanding. So
Really?
here's a really cool thing. I have another guy who does neurokinetic therapy like myself. I know we didn't mention that one, but that's like one of the main staples that I do. And this guy's a really good practitioner, does all this stuff. And his son is wanting to like study stuff like him and into all this medical stuff. He bought a book from the 1800s, and he was like going through it. He's like, Dad, isn't this all the stuff you guys are doing now? And they started looking at it. They called me like, dude, this is crazy. Like all this stuff we're learning about, we think it's all new. Like they were doing this a long time ago.
And then what happened?
Well, I mean,
The Industrial Revolution?
yeah, the people came in.
They
yeah.
shut them up.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Money and
happened.
power. The Industrial Revolution destroyed our country. Some of those people, like J.P. Morgan.
Well, I think
You ever watch that?
I think a lot of them felt like they were doing good because they felt like they were making money circulating, doing things. So they probably might even had their own reasons. But I think whenever you see that, even in churches, and a lot of places, when people make a lot of money, then all of a sudden, like things change, and a
lot of it
they
was
don't
for money
see,
and power.
They
It was all
don't, but they
about
don't
money
see.
and power.
I don't know that people always feel or think that way. I think
Yeah.
it might be gradually over time, right?
Yeah.
And then that stuff can get pretty dark. I don't know. I watch too much.
Well, I've been
whatever
watching
it
this
is.
documentary about the Industrial Revolution, and literally, and I'm sure a lot of it's hearsay, but apparently J.P. Morgan's father, who founded J.P. Morgan, obviously the bank system, or whatever, Chase Morgan, whatever it was called back then, I forget. But I do remember his dad walking in and telling him, because he was trying to fund all this. I mean, he was spending all of his money funding electricity to get it going, and he had to do this bid for this big fair to win it so that he could make Nikola Tesla look bad because they were in competition. Or was he on Nikola Tesla's side? I don't remember now. I have to go back and watch it
Yeah, I
again.
don't
It's
know.
been a
I
while.
haven't seen that.
But his dad walks in and says, "You're messing with the devil. Quit. You need to stop now." And told him that this is not going to be good, to stop. And he just wanted the money and the fame and the power. It was more about his ego. It was all about his ego, trying to win. He wanted to win. And it's the same thing with most of those guys back then. It was all about winning. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's
The
professional.
face.
You gotta leave that in. You can't edit that out. That's
He won't
professional.
either. He will embarrass me.
So professional.
My bad. Sorry. I turned my ringer on today because I was worried about my son. He lost his backpack today, and he's like kind of upset about losing all his schoolwork and his backpack and his lunchbox and his thermos. And
Hopefully it'll show up.
I hope so. I really do hope so. But I told him, I was like, dude, it's okay. Like, everything's replaceable. It happens. So I had my purse stolen one time.
Oh, you think that bag was stolen?
I mean, he lost it Friday, I think. Well, this is the thing. He rides his scooter home, but he stopped and hung out with some friends. They always stop at Kroger and
So it was like
at Chick-fil-A and Kroger. They all hang out. There's a bunch of, there's like hundreds of kids that go and hang out in front of Kroger by Chick-fil-A, and they go to Chick-fil-A after school. And I'm always like, don't eat Chick-fil-A. There's like a pure green place. I give him gift cards and stuff, the kids, because I want them to eat the pure green and not the Chick-fil-A. But anyway, he this morning went to go get his backpack and get his lunchbox and all that stuff, and we looked everywhere, and he's like, oh my God, I think I left it at Chick-fil-A on Friday. And I was like, what? So we jumped in the car and went to Chick-fil-A, and they didn't have it. Went to Kroger, they didn't have it.
They have his name on all of his stuff. Maybe it'll be to school. Maybe somebody will drop off at school.
Well, yeah, his name's on there's folders in there
Yeah.
with all his schoolwork, and his
So cool if
lunchbox has
somebody
his
just-
name.
If it's like finds it.
Hopefully it'll turn up. I mean, I posted it on Facebook, like, hey, ask your kids if they've seen a backpack.
Yeah.
I mean, they would know it's his, but the thing is some people will just steal it and throw away all his stuff and keep the backpack in the lunchbox. It was like a nice backpack that I had actually bought it for his older brother, and his older brother gave it to him because he wanted it.
Aw.
It's an Under Armour backpack. And I used to always buy them like cheap backpacks, and his brother taught me into buying this good backpack one year, which I was glad
Once you
because
start
they
using
last
nice
longer.
stuff, it's hard to go back. Yeah.
They last longer. And he was like, I'll use it forever. Well, they have been using it forever. It is a better backpack than the cheap ones.
Yeah.
And then I bought him a North Face lunchbox. It's like super thick, and
It's well insulated.
it's like
and
the
all that.
squishy lunchbox, that zips on the top so you can shove it in your backpack. But it's super thick insulated, like a Yeti, I bought it at Ross. I got it at Ross. It was like a good deal, like $20. Anyway, he's
Legit.
he's super disappointed. It's hard to replace things like that.
Yeah,
'cause
I hope it'll show back up.
if I go back and try to buy a North Face
Not
lunchbox,
everybody on the radio show knows
like
what you're
$60.
looking for, so like you might get like 5 of them.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he really just wants his schoolwork. He's more worried about his schoolwork because he's like, my schoolwork's in there. He doesn't want to have to redo his schoolwork, And I said, just talk to your teachers; they'll understand. It'll be okay. He's like, so he went to school today completely empty-handed. No backpack, no lunchbox, no thermos, nothing. So
How does that feel as a mother?
it feels odd.
Yeah.
I just felt weird. He's walking into school with nothing. It just seems odd.
It's a good experience for them, though, too. I mean,
Oh,
honestly,
yeah.
right?
I told him,
mean,
I
it
said,
really
this is a learning lesson. I always tell him, like, you need to make sure when you get home to hang up your backpack and unload your lunchbox because they'll leave the food in there from Friday till Monday and it's gross. Anyway, that's kind of more what I get on to him about. And they'll just throw it on the floor or throw it on the upstairs or throw it somewhere. And, we're tripping on it or whatever gets lost. So that's why I was looking for it all over the house, thinking he just chunked it somewhere or he threw it on the couch and somebody else chunked it somewhere. I said, you got to make sure you hang it up and unload your lunchbox. If you get in that habit, then we don't see it hanging there. Then I'm going to ask you, where's your backpack? But because it's never hanging there anyway, I don't know.
The routine
It's a
is
learning
key.
lesson.
Yeah. Systematic routines. is good.
Correct. I have to have those or I'll lose everything. I mean, I got way too much stuff to keep up with. So, trying to keep up with all my stuff and all their stuff and it's chaos.
Can't imagine.
And then the dog and all the other things. But, it's a learning lesson, but I still feel bad for him. It's never a good feeling when you lose something like that. So I was like, oh, man, it's going to be okay.
We haven't scanned him, huh?
Yeah, we did.
Did you scan him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty healthy. But once he saw the scan, he's like, more motivated. They're more motivated to eat healthy when they see that their body has these indiscrepancies of not being healthy and the path that they're on.
That's
and
what's so
what
powerful.
scares me is that they're already having these issues so young that by the time they're our age, I mean, they're all going to be sick. All the kids are going to be sick. You know what really scares me is all the radiation from all the technology, Wi-Fi and phones and AirPods and smartwatches. And
Yeah, that's
I'm like, y'all need
disrupts
to...
cells, cell behavior, and communication, all this connection stuff. For real.
I took my smartwatch off.
Yeah, I'm done with them.
Me
Same.
too. Dude. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back to... I have some really nice old watches that I really want to... I have this one that's made out of wood that I just love. It's super light and it's just really pretty. It has like a pink face. It's real cute.
The Faraday boxes and the sheets, that's what I've already purchased some for my phone. And I
What
don't
is
know where they're
that?
at. Like it's a sleeve, so you can just put it in your pocket, and it blocks all the frequency in or out.
Oh, so I need to get those for my kids.
And people put their computers in them, turn them off at night or whatever, like the
Really?
Faraday cages. Yeah, I think I'm saying it right.
Oh, Faraday cages. So, okay. So my dad was teaching me how to build one of those for all of our electronics in case we have an EMP because he's a prepper.
That's cool. I like your dad already.
Yeah, he's like wrapping everything in aluminum tape and aluminum trash cans, and you put everything in there.
Conspiracy theorists.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they're no longer called conspiracy theorists, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't
Not
know.
at
He's
this
like,
point.
he's like, you need to buy an old car, and I'm like, well, I want to buy an old car anyway. So, I like old cars. They're
Yeah,
easier to
yeah.
work on. These new cars are so expensive, and they cost so much money to fix, and they break all the time.
And they're like made
And
out
you
of
can't
plastic
work
bottles.
on them.
It's like plastic bottles, like Teslas. I mean, I like them, but they're like, it's just plastic. And like,
These people are dying in those cars.
sometimes, yeah.
They crush like a tin can and they blow up. They catch on fire. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I need to drink some water. I'm like, water, coffee.
Yeah. They combat each other. The coffee's diuretic, dehydrates you. Your water's trying to rehydrate you.
Yeah.
You need about 3 or 4 times of that
It's like-
to get to that.
I have friends that
Balance
drink like vodka and Pedialyte. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, that's a smart move, though. I mean, honestly, if you're going to be drinking vodka, you need to. Matter of fact, so like, I have like stuff for people that drink, like straight up. Like we do like liver detox. We do things to reset the enzymes in the gut, like that's one of the main ones. And then like getting the electrolyte balance right. It's just like taking an IV, right? You can go get an IV after drinking and be like nothing even.
Well, they
happened.
have these people that come to your house now.
Yeah.
You know,
they're great. Like if people drink too much, for sure. But I have clients that are like do really good, and they would like go out on the weekends and drink. And then like I taught them like how to like get their body back on track, because it takes like 3 days for your body, just if you stop drinking, to get everything back on track. But then you can reset it faster, right? And kind of like let it get reset much quicker, so you feel better, just like an IV. Well, what I've taught them how to do that, then they're like, well, now I can drink during the week. I'm like, no, that's not why we've learned to do this. We're just trying to get you to be healthy so you can get back to the gym and do all your things.
Or just don't drink.
Yeah, that's the best route.
Yeah.
That is by far the best route. I mean, like what it does to your organs, it's just, I mean, think about it. Think about a wound, right? If you have a wound, you put alcohol in it, it just kills everything. It neutralizes it, so there's no it just disinfects it, right? So there's no bacteria stuff growing. But we need those live bacteria, particularly in our gut, to break everything down, do everything that we need to do. And so if we're sterilizing it, we're literally just wiping all the good stuff that's taken us so long for our body to build, to put into place, to everything to work.
Right.
And we're just sterilizing it all.
Yeah, I learned something recently that you're not supposed to drink water before you eat or while you're eating.
Digestion, yeah.
Yeah, because it flushes out all the stuff to break down your food.
Yeah.
It waters it down.
I mean, just thinking about eating, your body starts building the saliva and the things to actually help break it down.
Right, so you should wait. They say wait like an hour and a half after you eat to start drinking water.
Yeah.
But you should drink a lot of water before you eat, like way before you eat, so you're not dehydrated. So when you sit down to eat,
the amount
you're
of
not
water
thirsty.
we really need, we're just like plants, right? Like if you put nutrients in plants, then we grow better, we do better, we function better. It's
Well, it depends on what
simple.
kind of plant you are. I'm more like a cactus.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Just prickly.
Yeah. No. I just mean like I probably don't drink enough water. I know I don't. I never drink enough water.
So you gotta learn to store it like they do.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good either. But
No, that's probably why people might be bloated, is because their body's
trying to
storing
figure out a way.
water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good observation.
That's what I feel like. I feel like when I drink a lot of water, I'm not bloated.
Definitely part of the systems aren't working right.
Right.
So
Your
it's like,
organs can't work.
well, everything has to circulate well together.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your lymphatic, your circulatory.
Your blood even won't flow because you don't have enough water. It's not flowing.
I mean,
so
you
then
can
your
look
brain
at
is
your
sluggish.
blood in a microscope, and you can see how it gets that way. Like when it's like really healthy, everything's full and round and whole, and it just like functions well. And then whenever you're distressed, they totally deform.
Do you have a microscope?
I can get one.
I have one.
Yeah. Okay.
My dad bought one for my kids.
That's
we should
awesome.
We should put some people's blood underneath it and see what it looks like.
It works well, especially.
How do
with
we
all
get
the
their
stuff
blood
do.
out? I'm not a nurse.
Yeah, we could get that.
Just prick their finger.
You could always use a pricker from one of the diabetes testers.
Yeah.
That's the easy way.
And just prick their finger and stick it on a little slide.
That's one way to get it.
Yeah. Would that be enough blood to see it?
Oh, on the
Or would
slide.
you need
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
tube?
No. I mean, tube would be a lot. You could do it on the slide, just a little bit. Yeah, I'm not afraid of needles. That's for sure.
I'm not afraid of like blood. I don't really like to be poked. That I just don't like it. But I really don't like when they put like IVs. It's not my favorite. But I mean, I've been pricked so many times. I don't.
Well,
Doesn't really
I
bother
learned
me.
to like it very, very young because my mom was so groovy before it was cool.
Right, we've talked about this.
Right, and so like
my mom was kind of a hippie too, so
Yeah.
we had very kind of similar.
backgrounds,
Yeah.
childhood upbringings.
You know, I'd be like, "Oh, we're hungry." You know, we would tell my mom we're hungry, and she'd be like, "Oh, go eat an apple or something," and we'd be like, "Oh, we don't want an apple." She's like, "You're not hungry then." You know, she wouldn't buy junk food. She wouldn't give us candy. She wouldn't buy us sodas. She wouldn't. We did drink Kool-Aid though. In the 80s, I don't think they realized that Kool-Aid.
Well, it wasn't as bad either, probably, right? I don't know what's in it now, but like
I don't know.
all the other stuff is complete garbage now. It's like super toxins.
Yeah.
Like whereas if it was simple sugar, I mean, just look at other countries and look what like.
It was probably bad in the
RFK is
80s.
changing all that right now, right? So that's the whole thing.
We'll
right?
see. He changed red dye, but I'm like, why don't you just eliminate all dye? Instead of just doing one color, why are we not just doing? Why didn't you just
Or
pass?
switch to things like other countries are doing? Like they use beets, or they use
That's what I'm
carrots
saying.
or
Like, so
whatever.
no synthetic dyes. Why did they not just pass no synthetic dyes? Why are you just going to eliminate red dye? All the other dyes are bad too. Caramel color, it's like highly toxic. Was yellow number 5, blue number 1. They're all bad.
Yeah. Super toxins.
Yeah. So
And those are just the beginning too. I mean, they're all so bad.
So I was a little disappointed when he only eliminated red dye. I was like, seriously?
Well, hopefully they'll do more.
But I'm just saying, you're going to go through the whole process of trying to pass a bill. Why wouldn't you just do all food coloring?
I mean, it's a tricky situation if you think about it too, because like he's totally against like Coke and Diet Coke and those things, and then you got Elon Musk who's on the same party, going the same direction.
they're like-
who's like, oh, but I like Diet Coke. Everybody should have Diet Coke. Like he's like, okay, not on the same page on that one, right? So that's tricky.
Diet anything is awful.
But it's good probably to have the different perspectives from the outside view, and people are going to figure it out for themselves. If all of a sudden we start changing things and people aren't dying and people are living better,
But we
doing
know
better.
that all those fake sugars are horrible. Horrible. I mean, it's crazy to me that people who are afraid of getting diabetes or have diabetes drink that, and it causes diabetes. Like, you're feeding your disease. It's an oxymoron. Like, what are you doing?
Just going back to the basic bare roots is the way.
Yeah. You mean back when Coca-Cola put cocaine in their Coke?
Well, that's what he just said he wanted to do. Elon Musk literally said that.
Right. He did not.
No, he did. He says, I want to buy
He's
Coca-Cola so I can put
crazy.
cocaine back in it.
He's
He did. He
crazy.
put it in a meme on Twitter or X.
He's probably just being silly.
Whatever. I mean,
Because he is kind of silly like that. I didn't realize he had such a good sense of humor until
Well-
I started actually listening to him. He was on Joe Rogan, and I listened to him. I was like, oh, he's
Joe
kind of
Rogan's
funny.
legit. Yeah.
I love Joe. I mean, Joe Rogan was kind of my inspiration for this show, just to like interview people and get good information out and be kind of fun and silly and tell stories and not be too serious, you know, but at the same time, we still want to get out good information. I mean, that was kind of part of my inspiration to wanting to do this. So, yeah. And then just the whole, but you know, everybody that knows me knows when I get on this subject about the food, it's like a rabbit hole. They're like, oh God, you know, or they'll tag me on like memes or posts about people or the crunchy moms or the woodlands or. Yeah,
I love that stuff.
Yeah, but they always tag me or they kind of give me a hard time a little bit. They're like, oh God, don't get Karen started. I'm in a group chat with one of my networking groups. Somebody asked about eating healthy and she's like, oh God, don't get Karen started. You know, she's like, she'll, you know, go down the hole. But I really just, it's genuine. It's out of love. I want people to be healthy, and I want, especially people I care about, you know, my friends, I want them to be healthy.
I mean, I get frustrated.
And I
with
want
that on
their
a daily
kids
basis.
to be
That's
healthy.
the biggest misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. Like, well, the frustration is like you have all these people that want to do stuff to get in shape, or they have issues where they're just holding fluids and their body weight's off, and they're just really struggling. And it's like they say they want to do stuff, but they don't do it. Like, I'm out with them. I'm literally out with them doing stuff, and they'll like buy a cake and like, you should just have a bite. It's just a bite. I'm like, I don't even like it. It makes me feel sick. I don't want that.
So, but this is my thing. This is what I've learned because I've struggled with my weight off and on. I actually was overweight when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I was bigger in college than I was full-term pregnant, which is insane because people are like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, I was. I have the stretch marks to prove it because my hips got like stretch marks on them from being overweight. And then when you lose weight, the stretch marks don't go away.
None from the babies?
I mean, I had them before I had children.
Yeah,
so
but they're different,
overweight.
right? Like the angles, the stretches, all the things, like right, like
I didn't really get I didn't get fat right here when I was pregnant. I got fat right here, but I didn't get stretch marks on my
That's
belly.
what I'm saying. That's what I was going to
I
say.
only got them
so
on my
you're
hips
healthy,
when I
you're
was
doing all that
overweight.
stuff, and then the more, I mean, when women are exercising, and they have babies, and they go right back to exercising, they're just like. It's a whole nother game. Like, it's like nothing happened.
So after my first kid, I was back in a bikini. Like I was wearing a bikini when I was pregnant. It was all belly because I ate super healthy because I was so worried about giving my kid any kind of toxic food.
I mean,
but so the point I'm trying to make is I think the problem with people that, because I know this from struggling with weight, especially women, is the motivation is wrong. the reason that they want to lose weight is wrong, and they're never going to be
emotions.
successful
Emotions.
because they're doing it for the wrong reason. They're doing it because they care about what other people think, and they don't want to be overweight because they care about their looks. If they do it for the right reason, because they want to be healthy and they want to live a long time for their children and their grandchildren and their loved ones, and not struggle with all these horrible diseases, because it's not fun to live that way. And the biggest motivation for me, and this isn't going to apply to everybody because not everybody has the same beliefs, but God. Like, my thing is God. I feel guilty, not that God's making me feel guilty, but I feel guilty when I treat my body bad, because he gave me this amazing
Temple.
tool to use, this machine, and you can't replace this. You can buy a new car, you can buy a new computer, you can buy all these new things, but you cannot replace your body. God gave you one body, and you should take care of it. And it says that in the Bible, that you should take care of your body. And that is my biggest motivation. And once I started understanding that and really processing that concept of this is, it says do all things for the glory of God. When I go eat an Oreo, I'm like, sorry, I shouldn't be doing this. And it doesn't just make me feel bad physically, because it does make me feel bad physically, but it also makes me feel bad emotionally, because then I'm like, what am I doing to myself? Like,
But that's their
I'm not
issue.
doing this for the glory of God. I'm not doing this for me. Why am I eating this?
It's the self-medication part of it.
Right.
Right.
Well,
So
I
what they're doing
know.
is they're using the glycemic swings to comfort themselves.
Well,
It's
it's
just like
addicting.
marijuana or anything else. It's like they're using that to like bring the body to a sedation state.
Right.
And your body's trying to figure out how to get back out of it. So it's working the metabolism to try to get back out. And these emotional swings happen. So, I mean, it's literally just an emotional roller coaster.
But once people get on that high of being healthy and feeling good about themselves and
you feel
exercising
better.
and eating right, that kind of high becomes addicting. But getting out of that rut into...
It's just like finances or anything. It's like, it's all the same, really. It's just a different place of being stuck.
Well, some people, the finances just don't happen because they don't have the money to do it. Some people are stuck in a rut
It's the
because...
same with the people that don't have the emotional strength to want to eat clean and feel better. Like they literally feel
You
better
can
if they
choose to
did.
eat clean. You can't always choose to make more money. I mean, not everybody has really that option. There's people in circumstances. There's single moms out there that are not getting help, and they're working their butts off to raise their kids, doing everything they possibly can, and they can't get out of financial debt because the cost of living is way too high
Yeah, that's a
to
fact.
raise children. So I don't want to put that out there that, you're financially in a spot because you suck as a person or you're making bad decisions. Sometimes people just don't have an option. But with eating, people are like, well, it's so expensive to eat healthy. It's really not, because if you make all your own food, and there's so many meals out there that are so easy to make, that take you 30 minutes to make, that are from fresh foods. I prefer to buy organic, but you don't have to buy organic. But don't buy processed food. Just start cutting out processed food alone.
I mean, if we could take people and go do like some of those retreats where you go away and just eat good food and you cook it clean, but make it taste good, and you got people off of it long enough,
Then
this
they
is
won't
actually
want to go
something-
back.
Well, I see this a lot. I've helped people, particularly through one of the churches I used to work with. I helped several people get really clean off food. And it was usually at the churches that this would happen. They
Right.
would eat pizza and like
That's so
lasagna
funny.
and like all this crap that have cake, that have this stuff. They would call me crying. They were like, "Oh my God, it hurts so bad." I'm like,
My kids do that.
you know what? The best thing you could do is just like create praise. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I'm so glad you're in pain right now. This is so awesome." Because now you've been so clean, you've felt so well that your body no longer wants that. And it's
Right.
a huge toxic swing. And now you see the results.
Right.
When they feel that kind of pain, they're like, crap, I don't want this anymore.
Oh, my kids will come
they
home.
need that swing.
They're like, Mom, I ate Chick-fil-A and I feel horrible. And I'm like, well, don't eat Chick-fil-A. I mean, that's your body telling you gross.
And that's the other thing is like the cleaner you are, the more you are going to have a reaction to those things.
Right.
Right, and that's tough because most people aren't. The cleaner you eat, and people are like, well, you're so sensitive, or you're so this or that. It's like, no, their body's just not adapted to the stuff that's the toxins that they're
Right.
used to. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's
I ate super clean when I was pregnant, and then I gave my kid soy milk, so I'm sure that destroyed him.
Well, the thing with soy milks too, especially nowadays, is
The soy formula, which
well,
is
yeah,
now a big
well,
lawsuit.
There's tons of other crap in there.
Right.
I mean,
Well, and when they
some of my
process the
clients are the ones-
soy,
yeah.
so soy in its natural form is fine, but when they process it and heat it, it becomes a toxin. So like soybean oil, soy lecithin, all these
They're
things,
putting all kinds of
even
other oils
soy
in it with it
milk.
as well, yeah.
Like people think soy milk is good for you. Almond milk, they think almond milk is good for them. They don't understand that when they heat the almonds, it becomes toxic. Unless you're having cold pressed almond milk, which they don't sell cold pressed almond milk at
My
HEB
mother does it.
right, but they
Like,
don't
literally,
sell
she
that at
makes
the
her own.
grocery
Like,
store.
literally makes her own.
Right. So what people aren't understanding is the processed food. When I say processed, I'm not saying all processed food is bad. There's good processed food. So cold pressed food where it's not heated is fine. But most of the time when you start heating things up, you lose all the nutrients, and then it becomes a toxin. The way that they're processing it. It's the same with flour and everything. And all people think, oh, I have a gluten allergy. You don't have a gluten allergy. You're eating food that is toxic. If you go to another country where they're making it from scratch and they're not processing
right.
it,
They don't get sick.
industrialized,
It's,
you can eat all the bread you want.
Yeah,
You can
see
eat
that
all the
all the time.
pasta you want. I know this. And so, or rice or all these things that they eat in other countries. It's funny. I just talked to this girl we did this headshot event on Thursday, and there was a girl there. She's actually from East India, from like the farmland, which I didn't even know about. I always heard about North and South India, right? She's like, well, there's an East India, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. I've never been to India, but she just, she was very educational. And she told me she visited China. She was like, it was insane because, you go over there, and they're not using our products. They're not selling our products. They're not selling this cheap polyester, fabric and all this stuff. They're wearing cotton and leather and cashmere and all this stuff. It's banned in most of the countries, but they're making it and selling it to us. They're making all the money, pocketing it and laughing all the way to the bank. You idiots, laughing at us. They are.
I mean, the frequency alone. I mean, you've seen that the linen has
It says in the Bible not to wear
mix the two.
synthetic fibers.
Well, it says don't mix
Mix and
linen and wool even.
Right.
And so it's at different frequencies. So your
Right.
body can do better with the same frequency. And
I guess it doesn't really say synthetic fibers because they didn't have synthetic fibers back then, but it does talk about
at
the
least
different.
not that we are aware of. I mean, we keep finding out so many things that were around before we even knew. So it's
Yeah,
hard
but
to say.
they didn't have plastic back then. I don't think.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I don't know
They'd have
either.
to manufacture most of that from oil, right?
Yeah, but the frequency from the synthetic fibers to people's body, it literally like almost goes negative. So then people
it's
wonder
100, I think.
100.
I think it's 100 or lower, so it's very, very harmful for us. It's like,
Right,
we're
and
like
what
the
should it
frequencies are
be?
like, I think the really good ones are like 1,200,
Right.
1,500, or like
Yeah.
real high frequencies.
And,
I don't know
yeah.
the exact numbers for sure.
Right, in
but
the thousands.
Yeah.
Right.
They're high.
So it's crazy because then people wonder why they have no energy and all this stuff. It's like, it could be the clothing you're wearing. And then you're putting all this lotion on and they're brushing their teeth with all this crazy toothpaste, and their body is just in this constant toxic state of rejection that it doesn't have time to heal or think or do
Maybe
anything
grounding
good.
sheets is your best option. I mean, it's so hard to get rid of Venus, even if you're using like
Grounding
cotton
sheets, yeah.
or especially if anything has stretches, it's going to have all the junk in it too. Like everything's
Yeah.
tri-blended now, everything's made that way. And it's like, I like those things the most.
Well, they sell
but they're
organic
also
cotton
the worst.
sheets.
Yeah. I'm saying, I was kind of jumping back to clothes, but yeah, I like
Yeah.
the same thing. The sheets just help neutralize that. So if you have
Right.
grounding sheets and you're getting all this other crap,
Well,
at least in bed, your body can balance.
You're not really wearing clothes in the bed. I mean, I don't like to wear anything but underwear because I'm like,
Yeah, right.
I toss and turn or whatever, and I don't like having to mess with my shirt, But and I get hot because I'm getting to that age, But dude, like I don't know how people sleep. If I go to my friend's house and they have polyester sheets, I'm like, ugh, I'm gonna become that
Suffocating
person
your
that
pores,
brings
yeah.
their own sheets because I literally can't stand it. I don't know, and I'm not trying to be like a snob, but it just makes me so uncomfortable. I can't wear, t-shirts. Like I love t-shirts. I love to hang around the house in t-shirts. I just boxed up like so many t-shirts because they all are like 50% polyester. I'm just going to make a t-shirt blanket out of them and put the polyester on the top, you know, the t-shirts on the top, and then put like organic cotton underneath.
bottom.
That's the part that touches you.
They can't be good for you still together like that. But I mean, I have
Be
all
better.
tech clothes.
I
Like
could just
all my
hang it on the
clothes from
wall.
my sports work and all the stuff I do. Like I want to be able to do the splits in my pants, go to the shirts in my pants, do all the things. It's like, and they all wick and they do all the things. And you got to wash them with special stuff so they don't ruin the material. It's a big process.
We
Now
make
I want to get rid of it all. I want to like, and it's hard because that's like almost all that I've had forever, right? It's like I need to go
Synthetic
all in.
fiber, yeah.
I want to go all in. And
Well, it's
do
hard to find workout. You can't hardly find workout clothes that are not synthetic.
Right.
Everything is synthetic. But like most, I mean, like right now, like this is cashmere. My pants are cotton, and my boots are leather. So I try to buy things like either at a thrift store or like on clearance or whatever, because people are like, it's so
If
expensive.
you get the old stuff, you might actually find some good stuff.
Right.
You got to go way back.
Right. There is the good stuff is the older stuff. But I mean, you can go to like Marshalls or TJ Maxx and buy a cashmere sweater for $40 or $50. I mean,
Are they
you're
all
going to wear
cashmere?
it for 20 years.
Are they all cashmere? I don't even know because I don't.
No,
never
you
bought
have
cashmere.
to dig. It's insane.
So most cashmere is probably mixed with stuff as well nowadays.
No, it's 100% cashmere usually. If it's cashmere, it's like $150 if you go to the mall, but if you go to like TJ Maxx, you can buy it for $50 or $70. But my thing is I'd rather have like 5 sweaters that I own, and that's it, that are non-synthetic, and just wear them for 20 years. Cuz like my jeans, I have jeans I've had for like 15, 20 years. I still wear the same size, thank God. After I got over my fat stage, I was like, I'm never buying new. I'm not going to go up a size. So I've just stayed in the same size forever. So if I start gaining weight, I just catch myself because I don't feel uncomfortable. That's how I keep myself from.
So like you create your own perimeter.
You can't wear sweatpants all the time. Yes. Because you're uncomfortable. And then nobody wants to be uncomfortable. You're wearing jeans and your stomach's like, oh, you can feel it. You don't look good. You got muffin top going on. You're like, oh, I need to lose some weight.
Yeah.
But if you go out and buy nude pants, then you're going to get comfortable in those pants. And then that's how you just keep going. I don't know. That's kind of one of my other motivations is I don't want to buy new clothes because I buy nice clothes, or I try to.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I'm not a
it's
fast
just like the
fashion
backpack.
girl. I don't buy Shein.
Buy the good stuff. That'll last forever. Buy the cheap stuff, and
That's true.
you pay for it in the long run. You buy it 3 times, and you're like, dang, could have done this once before.
Yeah, that's true. Except I bought my kids a nice backpack and a nice lunchbox, and they're gone.
You just didn't put your little frequency tag on it. What are those little things?
Oh, yeah, the little, I know what you're talking
Well,
about.
it sounds like you probably got excited, got on his little scooter, and just took off.
He did. And
Right,
it's, I
probably.
mean, he's 12. I mean, it happens.
I knew that, and I'm way older than 12.
Yeah, I have labels on all my stuff, like my laptop cord, because I've left it plugged in places. My camera battery, I've left plugged in places.
But the convenience of things is rough. I mean, because if you had an air tag on it, you'd know where it was at.
I know.
Right, but then
It's
you have
funny
more
said
frequency,
that.
right? The more
I was
frequency, more
just
stuff that we need to
thinking
get away
this-
from.
I was thinking this morning I have air tags at home. I should have put an air tag in his backpack. Because even if somebody did jack it,
know
took
where
off
it's
with
at,
it,
yeah.
I would be able to find them.
Yep.
So, my son had his phone stolen one time, a long time ago, and we were able to track it and go get it. And happened to my friend's son too. She tracked it down. She was banging on their door like a crazy person. She's like, "Give me his phone now. I'm calling the police." And I was like, "Ooh." I would not want her at my door.
Yeah. It's awesome, though. I like it when people go all out.
Oh, yeah, she's crazy. I wouldn't mess with her. I'm sure she was packing because she was like that. She probably had a rattlesnake in her car. She was like rattlesnake roundup. She's country. Super smart, though. She had like this big corporate job making tons of money. She was an interesting character. But
Was she misunderstood, though?
very probably.
So that's your next person to get on the schedule?
Yeah, she lives in New Braunfels area. She didn't live here, but I wish. But anyway, actually, I have some ideas coming up that I'm going to have on the show. We're going to take a couple of turns, I hope. I have some pretty interesting people lined up, so I'm excited. But I always want to come back to this subject. This is like,
Health and wellness?
yeah.
And that's all I want to talk about.
It's such,
We could do a whole strew.
It's so important. It's so absolutely 100% important.
It's just so many components, and they all mesh and merge so well together.
So tell me
But
some
they're not being
misunderstandings,
used.
some other misunderstandings in your world that people always think, you know.
I mean, the biggest one that I think that we mentioned earlier is like people will spend like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years creating problems, and they want them fixed in one appointment.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can get rid of the pain in one appointment. You can get them feeling better. You can get them like feeling so good, but they still need to undo the mess that got them where they were, right? It's like they're banging on their keyboard and they're all anteriorly rotated with their head forward and everything else, and all the muscles are getting super tight in one area.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we can do muscle testing and figure out what muscles are the main facilitators of those problems and what muscles are the weak ones and strengthen those, and that works. But if like I had a case just this week and they're like still working like 12 hours a day, and they come and do 1 or 2 hours a week, I'm like, the numbers don't match. Like, you can't do that. I mean, you can't unless you change your position in your chair. You do something different. You
Or
gotta
start
put them all
getting up
together.
and stretching and taking a break. I have one of those neck things that you lay on. It like adjusts your neck.
Helps balance that C-spine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I have a ruptured disc and I have a tendency to do that
yeah.
all the time. And like being on my
Very
phone
common.
is so bad. It's awful.
So that was one of the ones that I was dealing with this week as well. Is
The
lays on her
phone.
phone all the time for work, just constantly, right? And
I
so,
am a lot.
like she did the 9D breathing, and it was tetania, really bad, where like the blood changes and goes to different parts of it, and the fluids and the oxygen leaves the body, and it's like it just focuses on different areas, and the hands just totally go into like it's like a seizure.
Oh, wow.
Like they're having this amazing like
Yeah,
out of body
I've had
experience, but their body's like freaking out.
I've had where my pinkies have gone to sleep on me.
Yeah, that's probably just circulation.
Mm.
But it's the same stuff that's creating that. Your body's sending the blood somewhere else. It's just not, you're not getting the same flow.
Interesting.
Or you're pinched a nerve upstream.
I do have a pinched nerve. I have several, actually.
Well, you need to clean
From
that up.
that
Those
ruptured
are easy
disc.
things to clean up for the most part.
That ruptured disc is not fun. But, you know.
Key is understanding your body. Like if you put things back where they're supposed to go, your body automatically wants to go back where it's supposed to go. And the most probably misunderstood thing is the emotions. People don't realize that it's what they hold on to. It's their past trauma.
Oh, my gosh.
That affects them what they eat, affects them how they feel, affects them what they do.
Let
And they
me
keep
tell ya.
redoing the same. They keep running the bad relationships, the same things over and over because they don't even know how to see the other side.
Right. It's hard to get out of that rut. It's really hard. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's not easy. With, reward comes hard work,
It's easy once you get to the other side.
It
like when
becomes
you eat
easier.
food and you feel like crap.
But
You're like, man, I don't want to eat that
getting
anymore. But yeah.
The process of getting there it's an uphill battle. But once you get to the top of the hill, then it's
And then with the psychosomatic breathing stuff that we do,
right.
like 1 or 2 sessions can equal 10 years with the counselor.
Let me tell
10
you,
years.
I
It's
have
proven.
lower back pain I know it's from stress. When I get stressed out, my lower back starts to hurt. I can't sleep. My hips hurt, especially if I get like financially stressed or stressed about the kids. And we've had a lot going on with Jaron lately, and Kaysen. I mean, we've been in and out of hospitals and it's been nuts, and I get stressed and I try not to, but you can't help it. You're a mom and you just get like, dealing with hospitals alone just makes me want to
You
hurt
have
people.
the tools.
So, but you're right. And so I get stressed and my lower back will start hurting so bad. And then as soon as I get out and I'm, walking, I'm out in nature and I'm getting sunlight and I'm grounding and I'm drinking lots of water and I'm eating clean and I'm going to the gym, I feel so much better. My lower back pain goes away. But then it's so easy to go right back into that little pattern of stress and overworking. And I'm very driven. So when I have a lot going on at work, I have a hard time like putting it down. I just want to beeline to the finish line,
Yeah.
And I
There's
get
a lot of benefit to that too.
yeah, but I
But just the
don't.
balance is the
I have a
key.
problem where I don't take care of myself in the meantime. I don't get up and stretch. I don't drink water. I don't eat. I don't, I stay so focused. I'm like, oh my God, I've been sitting in this chair for 8 hours staring at a screen. I haven't even eaten anything or gotten up to haven't even gone to the restroom, which means I'm not drinking water.
Yeah, as we're tying into those fight or flight chemicals, the adrenals for overstimulate ourselves.
Right.
Like I've worked with several professional athletes, and like about 3 of them, literally, they're just naturally parasympathetic. Like they never changed from when they were a kid.
Can you explain to people what parasympathetic is?
Yeah, so like parasympathetic and sympathetic, whenever we're parasympathetic, we're actually using our diaphragm or breathing like when we were a newborn baby if we didn't have trauma. Like, you know, like babies that are born early are going to have different trauma. Like that's different. But if you don't have those issues and you're born normal term, like you come out and the whole diaphragm works, the whole back expands when they breathe, everything's working and they're calm until they start having temper tantrums. That's when we kind of get addicted to that overstimulated chemicals because it's like drinking a freaking Red Bull or you're like not even 1 year old. You know, especially when you get closer to 2, you start having these temper tantrums.
Why do they start having temper tantrums?
Well, they're trying to find attention somehow, but when they do it, they're using their neck muscles to actually pull up the first 3 ribs to vacuum air in. It pulls the diaphragm up backwards.
I don't really understand it because, I mean, I don't know. I've never really, I guess, studied that very much, but my kids didn't really have temper tantrums. I mean, there was the occasional, like, they wanted something and I said no. I mean, my kids didn't do it because they did it in the store and I left them and I was like, no.
Were you eating better? So that's a lot of that's the parents. Like so, like if the parents
because
are
my friends'
regulating-
kids would have like these huge meltdowns and screaming. I'm like, dude,
well, it's usually
what's going on with your kid? Why is your kid acting like that?
That happens.
And I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, let's discipline a 2-year-old who's acting like that. I feel like there's a reason the kid's acting like that. Why is your kid acting like that? What's going on?
Chemicals. Like, were you feeding your kids better than she was?
Probably, for sure.
So, like right off the bat, you don't have that chemical mess going on.
My older son didn't know what candy was till he was like 5. He didn't know what soda was. He did not know what cake
so right
was.
off the bat, you have that. Right?
So my
like,
kids
the
don't even
chemical
like
compounds
cake.
are already different.
They won't
right?
eat icing. They don't even like cake because
That's
they didn't
because-
have that.
Right. That's common.
They wanted sushi for their birthday, and we put candles in the sushi.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we went to like the hibachi girl for their birthday. You know, I thought it was more fun anyway. You know, the guy that squirts the pee out for little boys. It's so fun.
Yeah, I mean that's a much better way of doing things for sure. So I mean that's what it is. Like those athletes I'm talking about. Like when I start asking the questions, like how are you so different? Like literally, you could pull a gun on this NFL guy. You could pull a gun on him. He'd be
And
like,
he would just stay calm.
He would like probably take it out of your hand and be like, oh, you got a gun. Like he wouldn't
Like
care.
in the movies where people
Yeah.
stay super calm.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
Thor.
because they can function better. They know that and they've learned that. Like their grandparents like played mind games with them, took them to the best coaching, and did all this stuff with them, and worked with the parents. And it's like they didn't have the financial stress when the parents are trying to figure out how to do all the things, and they're spread too thin. And they are doing that. I mean, I struggle with the sympathetic energy. Just talking right now, I start raising up the volume. Like, I don't have to do that. I can be calm and just say the same thing and conserve that energy. And that's what we have to learn to do.
Yeah, it's
Like
not worth it.
It's so easy to get that overstimulation. And the people that are addicted to that from whatever realm, like, we tend to do those things.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the older I get, it's just, I love my peace so much. Anything that breaks my peace, I'm like, nope.
It's a good place to be. I've seen that flip though. So like with the muscle testing with the NKT stuff that I do, like there's some high level stuff that like you really need to be parasympathetic for it to work right.
Right.
And so if I'm tense and my client's tense, there's like no way it's going to work. Typically, it's really hard to make it work. Where was I going with that?
Like staying calm with your kids is hard. When your kid's freaking out, as a mother, it's hard because I'm
it's the energy.
Well, I'm extremely empathic, and then I'm a mother, and it's my kid, so I absorb that energy, and I want to freak out too, but
you can change the whole dynamic by not, right?
The older I've gotten, the more I realize, like I'm just like like this morning, you know, I feel like 10 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, he lost his backpack. Let's, you know, running in the store trying to find it and, you know, kind of panicking. But this morning I was like, just go ask them if they have it. If they don't have it, it's going to be okay. You can replace it. I was just very calm because I don't want my kid freaking out either. There's no point in that. And I've also learned, my grandmother told me something about 100 times in my life, and it took me like 35, 40 years before I understood what she meant. She was like, pick your battles. You got to learn to pick your battles. And what she means by that is you don't need to be freaking out about everything.
Right.
You just need to stay calm because she never would get upset about stuff. And I'm like, I mean, she did on a rare occasion. A couple of times I saw her get mad at somebody, but it was for something that they did. It was just awful. You know, it had to be something just awful. The Twin Towers fell. She was really upset. She was like, I'm so glad my granddad had just passed away. She was like, I'm so glad, you know, actually he passed away like a month later. But he was like, he didn't know what was going on at that point. She was like, I'm so glad he was not awake for this. Because for them, he was in the military and, you know, just, he would have been freaking out. But my grandma was like, you know, you got to pick your battles. You can't freak out. You just got to stay calm. And she's like, most things, she's like, just ask yourself, is this going to matter in 2 weeks? Is this replaceable? Are you going to remember this fight, you know, later on down the road when you're married? You know, you're getting mad at your husband for something because he left his socks on the living room floor. Are you going to remember this in 2 weeks or a month? Just pick them up. It's called labor of love. And I was like, ugh, no, it's not. It's not love. Why can't he just pick his socks up? He's a grown man. Why should I have to pick his socks up? You know, but you realize as you get older that it's not worth it. So just move along. Just pick the socks up. If you don't want the socks on the floor, pick them up. If you don't want to pick them up, just leave them there.
I'm with you. Just like keeping up with the stuff is so much easier though. Like if everybody did it, right? Wouldn't life be easier?
Yeah, but I've just
It's a shopping cart thing.
Now
right?
I'm just
Put your
like,
shopping cart back.
I either pick them up or I just leave them there.
At least in the bin.
You know, why? Now, if it's one of my kids, my husband is very clean. You've met my husband. He's a clean guy. He's like me. He's picking stuff up too. But there's occasionally like I kick my shoes off on the floor and I'm being lazy. If he griped
Now
at me
you're being
for
part of
that,
the
I would be
problem.
like,
I'm just kidding.
dude, calm down. Do what?
Now you're being part of the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to get on to him for something that I'm guilty of. And
Right.
we do that a lot, you know. Or maybe I have something else I do. I have a friend that her husband, we used to live in a fourplex a long time ago. And we became really good friends because we shared a bathroom wall in the fourplex. And I could hear her yelling at her husband every day about throwing his Q-tips on the floor. She's like, ah! She's screaming at him. And why can't you? And I mean, they've been married for 20-something years and he's still throwing his Q-tips on the floor.
Interesting. At least
You
he's
know.
using Q-tips.
You're not supposed to use Q-tips. Did you know that?
Yeah, I don't. But
There's
actually, I do sometimes, but I use them a special way, and I use them with other stuff. But like getting the stuff that actually pulled out, like you want to extract, not push down. So I understand
yeah. So yeah, you're not supposed to use Q-tips, but it feels so good when they're itchy, and I just want to like, oh, it's
that.
satisfying.
Yeah, but if you're using like a solution to help bring it to the top too, you can use it to help that way. You just
Oh.
don't want to push it down in.
Like, what kind of solution would you use?
Like you can use
Peroxide?
peroxide or stuff for ears, right?
Yeah. So there's a solution for everybody for ears, and it works amazing. This
Run.
hippie lady, huh?
Run.
Run.
Clears out your ears.
What's run?
Like run, exercise.
Oh,
the
yeah,
vibration
yeah.
of your body, your lymphatic system,
Right.
circulatory system. The key is you got to run properly. There's so many different
Right.
techniques of running. And if you run with an off foot or off hip, your body feels
What about
like it's
dogs that
straight.
get like ear infections all the time?
Are they running and exercises like most dogs should?
Yeah, but some dogs just naturally have that,
Yeah.
like the floppy ears.
So
So
this helps clear it out because it's not going to fix all problems,
yeah,
but like
if you're
literally,
swimming in like the
people that
ocean
have
and there's
wax in
like
there, it'll
bacteria.
harden and build up and actually come out
Yeah.
if you're actually moving the body.
True. But there's certain situations, if you go to like the ocean, you're swimming in Galveston Bay, which is filthy and disgusting. It's a cesspool of staph. I mean, I don't know how many people have gotten staph infection from Galveston. It's crazy. My cousin works at a hospital down there. She was telling me that one time. Anyway, so there's a solution this old hippie lady told me about a long time ago. I mean, this is like 25 years ago. I had a dog that kept getting ear infections, and she was like, there's a solution. It's super easy. You can put it in your dog's ear, and you don't have to go take him to the vet and pay all this money. It's 1 part peroxide, 1 part alcohol, 1 part vinegar. And you mix it together, and you just put it in the ear, and it will get rid of ear infections. Your dog will never get ear infections. So every time I would take my dog to the river, or the lake, or whatever, that's where he was getting them. I would just put that in his ears when we got home and just kind of rub it around, and he never had an ear infection ever again. And my kids, when they were young, a couple
cleans that
times
and
started
dries
getting
it,
like ear
yeah.
infections when they're little. They just sometimes their dad always got ear infections. Like he still gets them as an adult. And I guess it's hereditary. I don't know.
It's probably just the structural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had it. I've never had an ear infection. But my kids, I've seen them in so much pain. But I started doing that because I was like, wait a second, I wonder if this will work on my kids, because the doctors were not helpful. And I started putting in my kids' ears, and then after we go swimming and stuff, and they never got an ear infection ever again.
Yeah. That's
Ever.
proof.
It is proof. So
Proof
anybody
is where
out
it's
there,
at.
the
Proof
proof
is
is
where
in the
it's at.
pudding, right?
Yeah.
Like I make my own laundry detergent. We make our own. I'm making my own toothpaste. I'm making my own dishwasher detergent, everything. And it's like basically there's like 5 ingredients: peroxide, vinegar, baking soda, Epsom salt. I mean, those are all the ingredients I have in my house. I love Young Living, Thieves, and all the essential oils and stuff like that.
I made my
We
own
do
toothpaste,
garlic.
and I put Thieves in it.
Yeah.
Literally,
Well, they
I
make
did.
a Thieves toothpaste.
Well, I should have just bought that, but I just made my own. I literally got all
There's
the
a
stuff.
dentist by my house that I just found out from my Young Living girl. It's her husband. He like tells people to use Thieves. I'm like, because all these dentists would send my kids home with like the crest with sparkles in it, which did you know has glitter in it? And glitter is like this highly toxic. Have you seen the whole documentary about the glitter factory? And they won't even release what is in glitter. It's so toxic. But it
no
looks really
idea.
pretty on like boats and stuff. So I'm like, I still like it. I have a cup that looks like one of those old fishing
I
boats.
just want you never come home with glitter on. It never goes well.
I love glitter. I'm a girl, but apparently it's like super toxic,
For
and
guys,
they're putting
you
it
come
in
with glitter, it's not good
toothpaste.
because they think you're with another girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, there might be some
Like
stray glitter. You
lipstick
have
or
no idea.
like if
you're
when girls like hug you and they get like lipstick on
Yeah,
your
it's
collar
like-
or makeup. I've had that happen to me. I actually had a girl. I'm not going to call her out, but if she listens to this show, she's amazing. She accidentally got lipstick on my shirt one time, and it was like really obvious. And everybody was like, "Ooh, where'd you get?" It was like bright red. It was a white shirt. Everybody was like, "Where'd you get that lipstick?" You know, I was like, "Oh God, I'm just tall, and when I hug a girl, her face is like right here." You know, but yeah, and lipstick's toxic too.
Most of them.
Yeah, almost all the bright colored ones, because you can't get those colors without using.
They're saying it's more, you make more money from the bugs. Have you seen that little thing? It's like, so they take cactus and they like prick it and put something in it, and it creates some bug that grows on it, and they use it to make lipstick out of.
Ew.
They say it's more, it's more valuable than silver. It's just bugs that they crush.
But that's natural.
Yeah.
That would be fine as long as they're not putting like all these toxic chemicals in it. That's what I'm more worried
No, I'm
about.
sure they
I'm
probably
worried
add the
about
rest.
bugs. I've eaten a few bugs in my life. You know, like the dried crickets with seasoning that you can get at
Yeah,
like
I've done that.
random Terlingua and stuff. Got my kids to eat them one time.
They have all the flavors.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're
all,
just
like,
crunchy.
chips.
Yeah,
Yep, I've done that. There was a big craze for that back in the fitness world for a little while.
really.
And they're doing the whole cricket
All the
protein.
protein.
Yep.
Crickets are gross. They stink. Oh, like when, you know, remember, I don't know, was it like 5 years ago? We had all those crickets that were like all over the buildings everywhere.
Mm-mm.
We had like a cricket invasion in the hill country. It was horrible.
Ooh.
And it stank.
I wasn't there, but I did see it online now that you say
Oh,
it.
it was
It
horrific.
was also like in Arizona too,
They
right?
I don't know, but it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it ate all the crops. Like people, I have friends that owned a big, huge corn crop. It ate all their crops. It was crazy because they're a type of locust, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Biblical stuff.
Or locusts? I don't know. They have locusts too that eat all the crops. The hill
What's
country's got a lot of
crazy
bugs.
is like the whole biblical thing, but now we're finding out that like maybe man's creating a lot of this stuff, right? Like the storms, like that stuff's nuts. But I watch that stuff on X and it's totally legit. Like where they push
you mean
the
like
storms.
the snowstorms that they just
Where
created?
they push stuff like they use like
They pushed
frequency
them
and current.
away from the fires in California, all the moisture with frequency towers.
I mean,
Did
I
you
don't
see that?
know. I haven't seen that one
So
with
they-
that one,
there's
but
a
I've seen it
map.
with the storms that were coming up the East Coast and that stuff. And they showed how
So
they
they
started. They
lit-
started in Africa and they pushed all that weather all the way up.
I'm not. I try not to be a conspiracy theorist. I try to like use common sense and fact check stuff. There is so much stuff online right now. I mean, ridiculous amounts of stuff where they're like proven, like these are legit people, like government people saying that they started fires in all these places in California on purpose.
I
And
mean, they caught some people lighting them.
I
At
think
least one
they're
guy.
using scapegoats too. They're trying to say it was like meth heads and stuff. I'm like, what are meth heads doing out on government property, lighting fires for no reason? I mean, if that was the case, we've been having fires a long time ago because meth heads have been around for a long time. Anyway, there's a lot of fires. They were pushing they were lighting or setting all these frequency towers to push all the moisture away from it. That's when we got all these snowstorms here.
I saw one of those
They
things.
show a map with it all going off that night with the fires going on.
Off 99, I think there's one of those little things.
A frequency tower?
Yeah, they're like little bulbs. They got the little.
You can feel it. I think you can feel it. I think it's affecting us.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, we're going to be bombarded that no matter where.
All
we are.
these people are
Our
like,
phones
man,
are
I
pretty
just
good off,
suddenly
so-
feel like I have all this anxiety for no reason. It's just weird. I never
Well,
had that before.
I see that with clients on a regular basis. And one of the most interesting things is when they just get away from work. They go take time off.
And get away from their
all of a sudden, all
phones.
their problems are gone for the whole time they're on a cruise. Like they go somewhere and they come back and it's all mounts back up. It's like.
And they have a
literally,
lot of
like-
anxiety about coming back to work.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's the stress of all the things we do. Like balance is the key focus. If we could figure out how, that's the number one thing I wish that we could really, really work on doing is figuring out how to balance. Because work is good for us. We need it. Play
Well,
is good
people
for
are
us, we
doing
need
jobs
it.
that they don't enjoy. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's a big factor for sure.
They're not doing your job. You enjoy your
My
job.
job's awesome. It's a lot of work though. People
I
have
know,
no
but you
freaking idea how much
enjoy
work
it.
it is. It is good.
We got to wrap it up.
Yeah,
We're getting the cue.
that's awesome.
Yeah, but we'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll
This
have
will
to
be
have you
good.
back on the show.
I'd love to do it. I mean,
For
I just
sure.
want to talk. I'd rather just talk for a living.
Right?
Yeah.
I could do that if I got paid enough.
Yeah. Just gotta figure it out.
I don't want to come to work every day. I love learning and discussing all this stuff. So, yeah, it'd be fun. But anyway, thanks for coming on today, Micah.
Yeah, it's great.
If anybody wants to get with Micah and see about getting some fitness training or health and wellness advice or frequency tests, twice in a show. That's my cue. It's 2:30. I gotta go pick up a kid.
Oh wow.
That doesn't have his backpack today. But anyway, yeah, if you want to contact Micah, you can get all his information is in the description, and give him a
Love to help
shout.
people, yeah.
Yeah, he loves
I
helping
get people
people.
out of pain more than
He's
you
a
do.
genuine guy,
Thank you.
genuinely awesome guy. He really wants to help people. He's not just trying to take your money.
Yeah, it's the people around like you that make it so much easier. Love that.
Aw. Yeah, I'm glad we're friends. All right, man. Well, have
All
a good
right,
one.
See you later.
Talk to y'all
All right,
soon.
bye-bye.
Bye.